Hi and welcome. I'm JoyGenea with Solutions by JoyGenea.
And I'm Michelle with Bad Cat Digital.
And welcome to If These Heels Could Talk.
Absolutely. It's been a beautiful, beautiful couple of weeks, and we are recording in
early
the
in the morning.
basement. Very early in the morning. It's very early in the morning. That's why I'm like hard gripping the coffee.
You know, you've got a great segue into our topic today.
I do have a great segue into our topic today, and it's about my dress.
I love my dress, by the way.
Yes, it's very artsy, isn't it?
It is.
I'm kind of like
super comfortable. I've already felt it once because I'm
it's
like
very
what kind
functional,
of fabric?
Right?
Yes, breathable cotton.
So here's the thing: I've decided that I'm going to buy like 6 of these and wear them in rotation every day. Nice. And the reason is because first of all, I'm done making decisions about what to wear. I'm over it. I'm past. And this is seasonless and it works. But the second thing is that I've really decided to start embracing my inner high school art teacher.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, like the very functional smock-like, but it looks professional. So it's, it works for work. It looks like it belongs at work, but at the same time, it's very functional. It's very practical. It's got giant pockets. Love the pockets. And it's cute.
Yeah, you've officially hit middle age.
I've officially hit middle age.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. So we're in this kind of space. We're going to talk about creativity today, but we're in this kind of space where it's like, I'm officially hit middle age.
Yeah.
In my creativity.
Oh, do you think that's a different?
I think it's a little different.
See,
because part of creativity is confidence and comfort.
Oh.
Part of creativity is the ability to just kind of own what you think, own who you are, own your thoughts. Because a lot of people are really creative, but they don't share their thoughts.
Okay, that would explain my route to creativity. Because I was creative as a kid, but then we got re-navigated onto focusing on spelling, so all creativity was squashed.
Right.
And so it was gone for many, many years, and then it would only surface over in crafts.
Yeah, see, a lot of people think creativity is making something.
Right, but it's totally circled around now, and I embrace it, and it's part of it. But you're right.
You're an incredibly creative problem solver. I mean, just your phone just for an alarm.
Right.
So, complete disclaimer, JoyGenea's on some sort of brain fogging medication.
Well, I'm getting through strep throat and on the back end of it, and I'm on the appropriate medications, which has been really a wise idea.
Absolutely. So she brought a second phone today with just an alarm on it for just her meds, and I'm sitting here going, that feels like a lot to carry around to me. So what is going on? Well, what is going on?
I wanted to make sure while I was ill, I was not texting while on medication.
Or emailing.
Or doing any business.
Or trying to work.
Yes. So thereby, I had a backup phone we had around the house. You use for podcasting or whatever.
You've got
surfing, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I used that for the alarm because then I couldn't check emails. And it's not hooked up to any of my business accounts or anything. So literally, an alarm goes off. That's the only notification. And I just take care of the fact I need to take my meds. That's it. No distractions, no nothing else.
But what a creative way to solve first of all, a potential problem, because it's not like you went in.
I didn't do anything. I was being proactive. I've known people that have. So
me too.
Right. So I'm like,
when you own your own business, you're not really allowed to be sick per se, or like to take time off or to go on vacation. Like it just doesn't work that way.
It's different.
It's different. It's just different. It's kind of like I really do when I talk to people about it being kind of like when you have a kid. You can't really take a vacation from being a parent because they're always there in the back of your head. That's what having a business is like. It's like always there in the back of your head. So even if you intend to take a vacation, even if you intend to take care of yourself and stay sick,
right, you're still also kind of
still on. And so it's kind of brilliant. But it's incredibly creative problem solving. Most people wouldn't have thought of that. And so creativity for me isn't just about making the thing.
You're immensely creative, though. Like when I see your quilts and so forth, very much I know
it's a creative outlet in terms of literally creating. Mm-hmm. But the business is a creative outlet. Thinking about problem solving is a creative outlet. You have to think around problems, and you have to kind of think through all the different options and come up with solutions. And that's an act of creation. That is an act of creativity.
So is it natural to just be creative, or do you think it does require a little bit of effort, or is there kind of a process to it?
I think two things. I think much like math, whether there are people who are taught that they're not good at it, which is usually BS. I think people are told they're not very creative and consistently over and over again, or don't think that they are, or are somehow intimidated by creativity and therefore don't think that they're creative. But most people are actually quite creative, I've discovered, especially when faced with doing something that they don't want to do.
That's a good one.
It's true. It's absolutely
that's
true.
A good one.
But I think the practice is trusting your creativity and being creative on command.
Oh,
which is like, I'm presented with a problem and I need a creative solution literally now. Or people who do a creative thing like graphic design or writing for their job. Like you have to be creative on command. And so practicing and being able to access it, I really think it's like a muscle.
Yeah.
That atrophies with disuse, and or you can access, and some people practice and can access it more professionally, more consistently.
I find I have to, if I'm needing to tap into the creative side of something, which means there are less linear boundaries to it.
Yeah.
Like my thinking gets to float away and I get to connect different things and so forth. That requires me to typically kind of be by myself or bouncing off of somebody, like in a creative energy with other people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing, is bouncing things around. Or I have to be by myself. But if there are other people around and we're working on a few things and they're dropping in and asking questions and stuff, it's really, I have a hard time. It's like I tap into it and then it goes away again. And I tap into it. I find I have to put kind of a sign up and be like, okay, like I know I have to do this. Yeah, I have to do this creative thing right now.
You know, I found that there are certain people that I really jive with creatively, that we can build on each other's ideas really, really well. And those are hard to come by. And so when I find them, I keep them.
Yes. And that's always fun. Like you just drop a little word and they run off with it.
And they run with it, or they can drop a word and you can run with it. And all of a sudden you're just kind of like in sync with, Yeah.
I think that's kind of the arena that you work into, though.
Yeah.
Like I would say I probably meet some of the most interesting and creative people word-wise in advertising, in marketing, in that field.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it also there's also people who shut down creativity and conversation, like actively close it down. There's when people are asking too many, like my husband and I do not ideate well together. And so this isn't just about friendship or getting along or love or anything like that, or even comfort level with somebody. He and I do not ideate well together. I find he shuts my creativity down. He asks really specific implementation style questions and tries to poke holes in theories before they're theories.
Oh, and creativity. So understanding creativity is an idea and a concept, and
I think about it. I really think about it like a bubble.
Yeah, I was thinking
almost
that too.
like a soap bubble, where it's super fragile and kind of ephemeral, or
right, and it's not substantial. Like it might not survive.
Right.
It might not be something that moves forward.
It's not really ready for scrutiny. You kind of have to like look at it in the right angle to see the whole thing.
It's kind of like watching clouds.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, it is. That's creativity. And you're right. If you get too linear on it too quickly, it
pokes right a hole in it and the whole thing pops, and then the whole air of it is gone. And so accessing creativity professionally is about, I think it's about you can't be super tired. You can't be overwhelmed. You can't be underwater. It's just it requires a clear, focused mind, and it requires time and space to be yourself.
Yeah.
And it requires a level of confidence in your ideas to be able to prop them up long enough for them to turn from wobbly soap bubbles into something that you could actually show somebody and explain.
You know, one area I see I've had a lot of conversations about creativity that people don't realize it's about creativity is when I talk about their long-term goals and plans.
Sure.
Like business plans, when I'm talking about coaching and I'm talking about business plans, or when I'm talking to people just in general, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I have to start to ask some really creative questions and get them more in their right brain for a while and get them relaxed and stuff so they can start to let go and start to think that. Because if I can tell when I don't, and they're so in their linear mind, they're like, well, I'm going to have this much income. Like it's super checkbox,
it's
and
super
that's okay.
checkboxy, and that's okay.
And then, but I'm
that's
like,
not dreaming.
Right. And I'm like, but how does that feel and what goes along with that?
Yeah.
And
you really have to have the vision to sustain.
Yes.
The challenge with, and I think one of the challenges of small business ownership in general is the isolation, the emotional ups and downs, the loneliness, and it's a roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster. It really is.
Yeah.
And there are times and challenges when you just don't have it, whatever it is. And remembering your vision, remembering your dream, being able to access that mentally gets you through those dips.
Yeah.
That's when you're crying in the shower, you're crying because I say it all the time. I was crying in the shower. I mean, it's totally true.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that because you're releasing all of those doubts and all of those things, and the vision or the dream or the goal or the purpose is what gets you through that crying in the shower. Because otherwise, literally, I could make more money working at Target. So why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this?
Right.
And that's the thing, so
well, and creativity I always think of creativity. I think of small children. Like
there's a joy.
Oh, when you hand them just crayons and a blank sheet of paper,
Right.
not all kids, but most kids are just, there's a free flow to it. It doesn't matter. They're not like,
matter.
oh, my people don't look good. There's no excuses. There's no nothing.
They're not judging their own thoughts.
And they bring it to you with happiness and joy. And they're like, look what I made for you.
Yeah.
And
even
that's
as
adults, we got to let go like that.
And that's what I mean. We have to stop judging our own thoughts. We have to find spaces and ways that we're safe in order to access that creativity. And if you're wondering why maybe your team isn't creatively problem solving, maybe this is part of the answer. Maybe they're not comfortable failing forward. Maybe they're not comfortable. They don't feel safe to be wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you're not safe to be wrong, then you can't ideate.
Yeah.
Because it's ideation, especially in a group, leaves ego at the door and everybody's building on everybody else's thing. And you just can't do that if people are going to hang on or ridicule each other or criticize each other, or it's just not possible.
No. And that's one of the things I was going to ask you. There are times when we do ask our staff. I know there have been times you've asked your staff. So I've sat through meetings where people have asked their staff to be creative. Okay, we have this situation. We need some ideas. Yep. And it's interesting. And I have to really work with them on the fact no idea is bad right now.
Right.
There's no.
You have an hour.
Right. But it's like, but no idea is bad. Give us every idea. Like nobody make faces. Nobody criticize, nobody we can't do that. Just all ideas are okay. Say yes and
there's
to
a couple
everything.
of tools that I use.
Okay.
One is improv exercises, which is a yes and exercise. So improv exercises can be really short, but they get people into the yes and space. Mm-hmm. And it takes about 5-10 minutes for everybody to kind of warm up to it. And people definitely don't like the idea of improv. They think that we're going to do this silly thing and they're going to have to stand up and like contort themselves into a giraffe and then look like a fool. And that's not what we do. There's a bunch of vocal ones that are safe to do just sitting around in a group of people. And then the other is some sort of reward for saying anything.
Okay.
To loosen people up, right? So like I did one where I had poker chips and I said, anytime you say anything, I don't care what it is, I don't care if it's good, bad, anything. It's about quantity. Spit it out. Anytime you say anything, you're going to get a poker chip. And at the end, whoever's got the most.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, because it's not about good. It's about talking. It's about
do.
Yes, and people. And it takes a few minutes, but pretty soon people are talking over each other, and it's hard to keep up if you're taking notes. So, and then if you do that for 15-20 minutes, you can actually get something.
Yes.
And now we can start to, okay, that's enough of the quantity. Now we have to pull back, because after about 15 minutes, it turns into loopholes, right? People looking for the way to kind of restate what somebody else said.
Yeah.
So they'll get more poker chips, right?
Yeah.
Like it
turns competitive.
Yeah. But you get you facilitate meetings, how to kind of read the crowd.
Yep.
But those two things work really, really well.
Yeah.
To just, because the secret isn't to have people access something. The secret is to literally get loose in their tongue, to break down that barrier that keeps somebody from saying something out loud. Because they're having thoughts. I can see them. I can see the thoughts.
It's like, ooh, but getting them, yes, you're right.
But getting them to say them out loud is the trick.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are two. And in terms of accessing my own creativity, quiet, calm, putting myself in the space to have the thought. So rereading over notes, or taking a break and watching a movie that kind of is loosely related to the thing I'm thinking about, or listening to or watching other creatives, listening to music, or watching something that kind of lifts me up. Yeah. But again, it has to be from that place of safety. It can't come like it's really forced and difficult when I'm overwhelmed or overtired or feel really run down.
It's hard to do creativity on a timeline.
Yes, it really is.
And I think most artists will tell you that. Having artists in my family, like they get commissioned artwork and so forth, and they've learned how to pace that properly so they can be creative and meet the deadline. Right. Because you don't want it to be pushed up.
But at the end of the day, it's just work.
It is.
You literally just have to sit down and start, and you don't know where you're going. And so you have to be comfortable sitting down. And if it's writing something, I made 2 presentations this week, and I had to just sit down and start. I thought about them, and I couldn't figure out how I was going to format them in my mind. But then as I started, they start to kind of coalesce. They start to, there's a gap here. There's a hole here. What am I trying to say here? This doesn't make any sense. I need another slide there. Yeah. And all of a sudden I have a hole. Yeah. Whereas before I had nothing.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's some tricks and tips to it, but really it's just hard work.
And making space for it.
Yes.
Understand that creativity is necessary. If you're always grinding, you'll not leave yourself the space to be creative about where your business is going, to be creative about problem solving certain circumstances. It is important to allow yourself a little bit of breathing space. That's why so often answers come to us in the shower or while we're working out, because there's actually space for it to get solved in there. We're not shoving so many linear things.
I do a thing when I'm thinking about something where I'll keep everything quiet in the car.
Yes.
There's no music, there's no podcast, there's no radio on. It's just quiet in the car, and I will talk out loud. Yeah. And people in other cars think I'm crazy, or that I'm singing along with music, whichever.
There we go.
But I will talk to myself, and sometimes I'll put the little voice memo recording on, because then I want to listen to it later, because I'll have some good thoughts alone by myself in the car.
That's a great idea.
Especially if it's more than 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can solve a lot of problems in the quiet moments.
I think I solved world hunger once, but I forgot to turn the memo thing on. So sorry, everybody. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Nice try. I do like the dress, though.
Thank you very much.
And I know it also helps a good cause. I happen to know that. So we'll put a link.
This
one.
The thing to remember, though, is creativity is a muscle. You can access it. It is something that other people have. It's not just about painting or art or music or creating something in the arts. Creative problem solving and creativity is about more than that, and it's a great muscle to have at work. It leads to all kinds of critical thinking and independent work and decision-making skills, and leadership requires creativity. So as you are thinking about, I'm not that creative, or those thoughts creep in, think to yourself about how you can access that creativity and redefine it. Away from somebody who's an oil painter or a quilter to somebody who comes up with a solution that nobody else did as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for joining us this week on If These Heels Could Talk. We hope you've gained a little new insight, gotten a little more creative, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks.